So I have been joined by former state senator of out of Ohio, Nina Turner. Nina Turner, how are you today?
Wonderful. Great to be with you.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we are so excited about having you on board. Um, Listen, let me not waste any time. Let me jump right into it. You are one of the leading voices for Bernie Sanders, and one of the first things that I want to ask you is, what are your thoughts on the black vote? Almost like in any language that I use that you don't agree with, please feel free to feel free to disavow. But almost like sheep to the slaughter, just being led directly to Hillary Clinton. And you have this heart, soul, mind agreement with what Bernie Sanders stands for. What are your thoughts about what's happening right now as these votes are being counted?
Well, African Americans are very brand loyal, and we're just seeing that happen. I mean, without even, I'm just, I'm surprised, I'm floored, because I would love to see our people, all voters for that matter, Benjamin, just to say that, to really critique the people that they are voting for. And African Americans for far too long have been taken for granted. I am a Democrat, a proud Democrat, but I'm a Democrat because of the values,
Right.
not of some false loyalty to some party, but to the values that we say we ascribe to.
Right.
And I think Dr. Cornell West put it best, that this is really the first time in our history that our value system is in conflict as a people, because we usually support, those people who stand up for social justice in this country, and we're really not doing that in this case. But just this total blind loyalty without asking for anything in return in terms of what is going to happen to uplift our people, I'm just stunned by it. Absolutely stunned.
And it's so frustrating to me, because you hit on something so key there. You said that it is a commitment to a brand more so than to the values. Because if we look at the fundamental differences between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, you can see the differences in progressive values, which I don't know if black people are always cognizant of. The entire civil rights movement was a progressive movement. So to me, it's like, at what point do you separate loyalty to a party from loyalty to what's best for you? But anyway, I didn't.
But you're on to something. A pastor, his name is Reverend Dale Snyder, and he's from Columbus, and he gave a speech at a grand opening in Columbus for an office for Senator Bernie Sanders, and he said this. He said African Americans are going to have to come to grips with their historic loyalty to the Clintons compared to the future of their children and their grandchildren.
Right.
And that's profound. That's it. We got to come to grips with that.
Because the decisions that we're making right now, the decisions that we're making with Hillary Clinton and the black vote, which is going to be amazing to me. If Hillary Clinton wins, it's going to be by virtue of the black vote. The black vote is going to be what's going to save her and get her in there. And so to me, it's though we are making decisions that are going to be detrimental to the black community in the future. And one of the main things that I want to ask you about is a lot of people cast this conversation to be about race. And so from that perspective of race, they say Hillary Clinton is better, which is at best arguable, right? I completely disagree with it, but we can debate it. But then they're doing so to the neglect of economic issues, where every day we do face racism in some form or fashion, but every day we have black people who can't pay rent, who can't pay child tuition, who can't pay child care. And so we're having this conversation. So what do you say to people, because there's so many, they're focused solely on race, and they think Hillary Clinton is better on race, one, but then two, they're completely neglecting the economic conversation. What do you say to them?
Well, Benjamin, I mean, we know that for us as a people in this country, racism is in the DNA of this country. Let's just face it. From its founding, it was racist. From the moment the Native Americans' land was stolen from them to our ancestors coming over here in chains, this nation is racist. So we, in many cases, as a people, cannot necessarily separate economics from race. But that being said, it is vitally important for our people and all people to know that in order, Dr. Eddie Gauld has written a book called Black Democracy, Benjamin. I don't know if you, but I encourage, he talks about a value gap in this country, that we are never, ever going to be able to deal with the challenges of race and of class until we admit our sin in this country, which is white lives are more valued in this country than black. It is a value gap. But going back to the point that you just made about let this man from a student in the 1960s, I want my brothers and sisters, just be conscious about our vote. Vote for whoever you want. I just want you to vote, but be conscious about the vote. He was a student in the 1960s standing up. You talking about black lives. He was standing up for black lives in the 60s as a young person, similar age of most of the Black Lives Matter activists.
Right.
In 1988, Benjamin, in 1988, this man as the mayor of Burlington, Vermont, stood up for then Reverend Jesse Jackson when the majority of the Democratic Party, the status quo of the Democratic Party, did not want to see Reverend Jesse Jackson become the first African-American president in this country. He did that without regard to his own political security. That's heart-soul agreement right there. This man has been standing up. He continues to stand up. Even in the 1970s, you know, I know African-Americans are a bit conservative on these kinds of issues, but even in the 70s, for our gay and lesbian brothers and sisters, this man wrote a letter talking about this anti-gay laws are wrong in the 70s. So he has been more like a Democrat, more progressive than many Democrats. You talk about the welfare reform bill. He was against that bill. He took to the floor and talked about how wrong in the dog whistle. You know, you bring him all the way up to now, standing up for veterans. His moral compass, I'm not saying the man is perfect, but his moral compass has been in the right place the entire time. So you are absolutely right. I just wish people would research and do a comparison. When the First Lady was out there promoting the crime bill, Senator Sanders took to the floor. You know, he did support that bill. Don't get me wrong, like a whole lot of other Democrats in that time, but he took to the floor. He voted against it in 1991. He did vote for it in 1994 because of the violence against women and also the assault weapons ban, but he took to the floor both times and said that the problems that we have in this country is the problem of poverty, and that we shouldn't be locking folks up. We need to help people get jobs. So there is an economic component to this, and when he talks about raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, so our sisters and brothers of all ethnicities don't have to work 2 and 3 jobs to have a living wage, that's righteous, Benjamin. That's righteous right there.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, I cannot agree with you more, which drives me insane, State Senator Turner. It drives me insane to see in my opinion, they either don't have jobs, or they don't have any responsibilities, or they're so economically privileged that they aren't concerned about the economics of it. But when I see people like, and I love him to death, I absolutely have so much respect for Michael Eric Dyson, but when I see him turn the conversation to be only about race, which doesn't yield us anything productive about people who are working for $8 an hour and desperately need $15 an hour just to survive so that they can help the next generation get out of poverty, it drives me insane, because one of our daily experiences as African Americans is with poverty and living paycheck to paycheck, and now we have had this conversation completely obliterated by identity politics manipulation. That's what I want to title it. So let me go to another phase of this conversation, because I read and I have seen some of the things that you have faced personally as a black woman supporting Bernie Sanders, and I see what you've gotten from